stories of faith we share, lives changed in prayer, hope in every word, God's love can be heard. Through trials we stand tall, in His grace we find it all. Miracles happen here, His presence always near. Testimony talks, join the journey. Hear the voices, hearts are yearning. Praise for His name we declare. Testimony talks, we're here to share.
Welcome to Testimony Talks. This is our second episode. Today we have a special guest, Joshin Joseph. He's a Bible teacher and also a counseling student in Moody Theological Seminary, Chicago. Welcome to our episode, dear brother. Good to see you. And today we will have a brief discussion about what dear brother's background is, his testimony, and what he's studying right now. And first of all, we will start with the testimony. The dear brother will explain his background and what he's doing right now, what he did before, and about his family, and a brief introduction about his life. Go ahead, brother.
Thank you, Brother Ashish. Speaking about me, I'm Joshin Joseph. I'm coming from a small village in Kerala. I was born and brought up as the third child of my parents who are serving the Lord in a small village called Kottugal in the capital city of Kerala in Trivandrum. My parents were very devoted in teaching all three children in godly ways that we will be able to know and understand the truth of God's word and to live according to it, which made me to accept the Lord as my personal savior at the age of 12. I received the Lord as my personal savior, and ever since I was trying to be with the church and to live for the glory of God. At the age of 17, I obeyed the Lord in waters of baptism, and I was in active fellowship with Kottugal Brethren Assembly. While I was there, I had a desire to learn the Bible systematically and to study theology. That is when I moved to Brethren Bible Institute at Pathanamthitta, where I spent my next 6 years studying the Bible and theology. I did my Bachelor of Theology, I did my Master of Divinity and Master of Theology at Brethren Bible Institute. My life at Brethren Bible Institute was a transforming one. Why I really say that, when I went to the Bible Institute, I felt I'm just like other Christians. I'm born into a Christian family. That is the only reason why I remain as a Christian. But the years that I spent at Brethren Bible Institute, I could process my belief and I could process my entire life. And then I was totally convicted if there is any truth that is in the Bible. And there is no true God other than the living God of the Bible. And this I had not come to a conclusion with an emotional understanding, but rather I was able to reason with my mind, and with much evidences, I could completely approve by saying this is the only truth. So today when I live my life, I still remember my life in Brethren Bible Institute, the stage in which I was completely being convicted of knowing this is the truth in which I am believing, and this is the truth in which I am living. After completing my studies at Brethren Bible Institute, I moved to Chennai to Stewart's Bible College, where I started to teach the Bible. I still consider it as a great privilege that the Lord opened the doors that I could move to Chennai. To be honest, Chennai is the place where I got the wings to my dreams. I was able to process my dreams a lot. I was able to understand this is what the Lord wants me to do. I spent 5.5 years at Stewart's Bible College, and I had the privilege of teaching different batches about the theological subjects. I was dealing with history, geography, and also life of Christ, and so many other subjects. And there I could know my ability to teach, to communicate with others, and I always wanted to explore more in my life. And all through these years of 11 and a half years in studying the Bible and teaching the Bible, I felt so much attracted to two disciplines of studies. The first one was apologetics. Apologetics is the field where we are defending the Christian faith by using the intellectual knowledge and the evidences. I was always moved by seeing the Christian apologists who are bringing forth the evidences and proving that the Bible is true, Jesus Christ is only God, and providing enough evidences that anyone can approve and convince of the true faith that is in Christianity. And the other discipline that I was always attracted was counseling. The reason why I was so much attracted in counseling was because it deals with the human mind. It deals with the emotions of the human beings. When it comes to emotions, we all human beings have emotions, and we fight with the emotions than anything else in our lives. To be honest, there is an inner person and the inner emotions that each and every day we fight with. And to be honest, being in Chennai, I could see different lives in Chennai. I was coming in contact with the different people groups. And also I was traveling to different cities in Chennai where all I was seeing people. And then I could observe and see the tendency to suicide and so many other issues that are taking place. And mostly it happens because the people are struggling with their emotional battles and they are not able to expose themselves to others. They very often feel that they are fighting it in their own, and they don't have answers to the many questions that they have in their personal lives. And because of not having sufficient emotional support, the people are struggling and suffering a lot. And being comfort to the people, those who are emotionally stressed, I believe the Christian counseling has got a great impact. Why did I say Christian counseling? Because in Christian counseling, we have Jesus Christ, who is a complete God and a complete human being, who is the real person and who is calling the people to come unto Him, and He can be a comfort to them. Now, going to Jesus, according to the Bible, Jesus is the only person who can sympathize with all our human emotions. There is no one else other than Him. And however we try to communicate ourselves to other people, more than a 30% they will not be able to understand. But then, Jesus Christ is the only one who can understand the human emotions in the complete sense. And the Christian counselors would play a very important role in which it makes the people to understand where they are standing and to understand and fight with the human emotions. And with that desire, I decided to study further counseling, and then I decided to move to Moody Theological Seminary at Chicago. And the Lord opened the ways miraculously so that I could come to Chicago and I could start my studies at Moody Theological Seminary. And meanwhile, about my family, I'm married to Anu, and we are blessed with a baby boy. We named him Daniel J. Joseph. That is my small testimony.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for sharing your testimony. There's a lot of, as I haven't known the dear brother for a long time, but I know he's sacrificing a lot with deciding to work for God, and being in a big city like Chicago. I'm sure it comes with challenges, and also being away from family. So how is your approach right now? How are you balancing family and also able to serve God at the same time?
I came to Chicago in 2023 January. I spent one semester. When I moved to Moody, I had to do an 1-year undergrad because my degrees from India were not accredited, which I completed by last May. So after spending one semester, I went back to India and I stayed with my family for another 6 months. And then during that time, I was, of course, staying in Jamtara at BBTI, where I could teach the word to the children there and involved with the other ministries. After which I came back here again in this year January and completed my undergrad. And then Again, after my undergrad, I went back to India. Meanwhile, I was teaching at Stewart's Bible College, where I was teaching for last 5.5 years. I was taking classes there and also doing other ministries. And then again, I came back. I started my course, just spent 2 months here. And in few days, I'll be going back to India. And when I'm in India, I still teach at Stewart's Bible College in Chennai, and also I involved with the other ministries, visiting the northern part and also in the southern part of India. So I'm able to spend my time with my family. At the same time, I'm able to minister, and my studies at Moody also is moving on without any hindrance.
That's awesome to hear. Praise the Lord. And so somebody who studied here, I know how challenging just to study. So dear brother is studying, same time he's going back and forth between India and coming back, and also having a family there also. There's a lot of responsibilities. I know God is the engine which making you run. I can definitely say that. I know it's not an easy journey, but I'm sure God will continue to work with you in the coming days also. And especially when you talk about studies here, it takes 40-50 hours just to do your coursework and finish that. And on top of that, our dear brother is managing all the other things which he just mentioned. And it's very commendable of you to balance all that. And so I just want our viewers to understand how hard it is. And it's not an easy thing, especially a master's or even a bachelor's level program here. It takes a lot of time which you have to spend to finish the coursework. It's a go. Every week you have things to finish, and doesn't matter it's a theological seminary or it's a regular college, the workload is higher. I heard even the workload for Moody might be even higher than a regular college, because ethics which you had to follow and the papers which you had to submit, it's very challenging, right?
Yeah, of course. At Moody, the course is very intense. The current major that I'm doing it right now is clinical mental health counseling. It is a licensed program. So the process take much care, and they try to make it much intense. So it takes a lot of effort to study. This was the 8th week. That means the final week of the 2 courses that I was doing. So I was quite busy with the entire
finals.
Yeah. So by the grace of God, I'm able to do it.
Yeah. So it's a lot of effort which goes into it. Appreciate that your dedication, because I know often people don't understand how hard it is, especially away from family also. And as a father of a young child and away from, we definitely appreciate that dedication which you have for Lord, and also helping others in the coming days also. And we briefly talked about counseling, and we will get to that topic. And what led you to approaching counseling, and what is the reason to go to counseling, taking a degree from that?
Yeah, as I have already mentioned, the counseling deals with the human emotions, and the fight with human emotion is a lot. For example, something that suddenly happens, an accidental incident that is taking place in one's life, it could put that person into an emotional trauma. This trauma that he has in his life, sometimes he may not be able to deal with it, he may not be able to fight with it. Now, being a help to that person who is facing the trauma is challenging. But for me personally, I saw lives where, especially seeing lots of stories in social media, those who are committing suicide and all those stuffs, I felt, if I can't be a comfort to everyone, but at least if I enter into the field of counseling, I can be a helpful person for those who are facing this emotional challenges in their personal lives. That is the primary reason why I'm attracted to the field of counseling. So emotional help, especially in this present age where we have a lots of social media influence, where people very often tend to compare their life with what we see on the social media. Now, this all is our emotional, the challenges that we are facing. So we should address it, and we should try to come into the reality. And coming from India, especially from Kerala, where when we speak about the mental health, when we speak about counseling, even the people from back in my village, if we approach a counselor, we say this person could be a mental patient. So that is where we are coming from. But then it is a fact. Very often, because of that fear the people have, they don't go for it. So in my dream, I just want to tell the people how important counseling is and how much important in your personal life it is. You are not alone. You are not fighting it by your own strength. So a counselor can step into your life and try to understand your life better and try to give you the strength to fight your emotions and tend to be strong and maybe to understand the different sides of your life that you are not able to see it. So saying all that, I want to be a person like that. So that is when I decided to move to the field of counseling.
Oh, that's a very good explanation, and some of the questions which I wanted to ask already answered. And when we come to suicide, it's an issue which many are facing, and even I'm sure a lot of people have thought about it, probably haven't committed it. And what are some of the things do you think leaders in church can do to prevent those kind of issues happening? So,
to be honest, as I was talking about the mental health and the emotions, we should first of all accept it as a fact. And the basic problem that we all have is we evaluate others' life based on our own lives, which is a major mistake we do. When we try to deal with someone else's issue, we should try to stand on their feet and try to understand their lives, and then being a help to that person according to the circumstances that person is in. Now, being a counselor or being a church leader, elder, and being in a position, I would encourage anyone and everyone, just your congregation should understand this as a fact, and you should make them to understand that you are there to help that person. Now, being a counselor, the best thing in a counselor's life, that people will tend to be open to that person. It is because of the counselor qualities. Now, if an elder or a leader of the church is able to show that qualities, they will be able to be open to this person.
Yeah, I think that's an important thing which we discussed briefly before we started the podcast. I think that confidence, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm coming to dear brother, I should be confident that if I tell you something, nobody else will know.
Yeah, that is true.
That's a very important thing. I think many of us lack. I think it's in our culture a little bit too. And but it's a sad fact. Many times, I never felt comfortable going to anybody in church if I have an issue. But that's how it shouldn't be. That we shouldn't be like that. It's come with a leadership quality. You need to have confidentiality. Should be something which we all need to learn. Especially if you're thinking about becoming a leader of a church or leading even in a workplace, doesn't matter what it is, you need to have that confidentiality. And so that's an important topic which we discussed, and we can let's move on to the next things which we want to discuss. And we briefly talked about ethics again, coming back to ethics of counseling. If you can tell me briefly about that also.
Yeah, the confidentiality and the ethics, it goes together. So I would like to speak about both of that. Now, when we speak about the confidentiality, to be honest, being a counselor, it is very important to build up an inner character and the inner ability to keep the secrets. Very often, the counselors are also public speakers. We address the public a lot. So when we hear some secrets of some other persons, we should not make it in the public speech, even as an illustration. But in certain levels, when the client is allowing you to use it as an illustration, it is all right. But otherwise, it should not. And even, to be honest, building up the confidence that we were talking about. Now, when we build up the confidence, primarily, in our basic character, when we find a mistake in one person, go to that person directly and share it with him. So very often what we feel, we find a third person and we share it with that third person. So instead of doing that, go to that person directly. So that gives confidence to that person. Okay, if I share it with him, it is going to remain with him and he will only speak to me. And then coming to the ethics, there are a lot of things that are being covered, being a professional counselor.
Yeah.
But in ethics, to be honest, when we find our client in a public spot, in a common gathering, others in the place should not feel that he is my client.
Makes sense.
So that client, he is a client only in the hour in which he is coming to me for the counseling. But I can observe that person's life and try to understand how he is behaving in public, and I can study the person. But I should not behave to him as a client outside of it. So, being a professional counselor is a very challenging one, where we will have to compromise with a lot of things. We will have to keep the secrets, and sometimes we may not be even share a lot of things with our life partner or the people whom we trust. It is just between me and the counselor. So, keeping the secrets, keeping the things very confidence, and addressing that issue only to that person without making it as a gossip or making it as an illustration is very important being a counselor.
Yeah, that's a very important topic, that the extent of confidentiality, like the dear brother said, even to your spouse, you're supposed to share everything with your spouse.
Yeah.
But when it comes something which is very confidential, you probably have to ask the client if you can share that too, right? So that's a very important topic we all need to learn. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And so going back to the topic, how does counseling help a person who has thoughts of suicide, or what approach will you take in that situation?
First of all, a person feels to commit suicide when we feel he reached to a dead end. There is no way to move forward. So the only thing he can do is to die. Now, being a counselor, my responsibility or a counselor's responsibility will be to show that person the different ways that he has. To be honest, all of us has got so many opportunities in our life, so many ways, so many relationships. Now, maybe, for example, someone is planning to commit suicide because his girlfriend or boyfriend said no to the relationship. Now, to be honest, he also has got parents. That relationship is very stronger, and they love him more than that girl or that boy who said no. So being connected with them is very important. And when someone told you a no, and when you say no to life, and you are giving the same pain to your parents. So helping that person to see the different aspects of life is very important. And someone feel my career is the end. I'm reaching to the dead end. I cannot move forward. And you're not sure what is going to happen 1 month later or 1 year later. And the other reason would be the financial issues. Now, even for the financial issues, the debt is not, the suicide is not the end. When you commit suicide, maybe some of your dear ones are going to fight your debt. So you have to deal with your issues, and you should find out the opportunities to move on. So in which a counselor will be able to show the ways that is in a person's life which is hidden to his eyes. So when we speak to a person, trying to understand who he is and what all the life that he spent through, and maybe to understand his emotional level and the relationships that he is having, the job that he is having, we'll be able to show them a lot of light into their life to see that they can live on in their life.
That makes sense. That explains it a lot, I think. So creating that hope, hope in a person,
helping that person to see something that he is not able to see it directly.
See right there. So usually something when you come to suicide tendency, usually I heard that it happens very fast, and decision people regret who survived it. So it's about getting that help at that time, right? How do you explain that? When if I'm having that thought, what should be the approach which I should think at that time, or what should family do in that situation if somebody is going through that thought?
Okay, now first of all, as you said, it is very few seconds where we decide to commit suicide and we do it. But it has got a background. There will be a series of issues that were taking place, that I'm being emotionally broken. So as the last moment, I decide, let me commit suicide.
Done with this, yeah.
But when I started to fight with my emotions itself, if I can approach a counselor, share with my problem, he will have lots of suggestions and solutions to move on in our lives. So even when we speak about that second of deciding between life and death, there is a life, there's circumstances which led us to that point.
Okay.
So approaching to that life is very much important. And to be honest, when we speak about that second, mostly the people will be all alone. They will not have any help. So even if you have someone in your family you feel are going through financial struggles, relationship struggles, or any other problems in their lives, it is very much important to ask this person to meet with a counselor and to know the entire life that they are living. And also, when we study about the human mind, we have different levels of conscious. We have the conscious, subconscious, and the unconscious mind. So the conscious mind is the mind which we know, okay, that is the knowledge level.
Excellent.
And subconscious are the thoughts that comes in and goes back. Sometimes it will just come up, it will just go back and sleep there. There is also an unconscious mind. There are certain times in which we feel we are so much pain or so much emotionally broken, but then we are not able to understand what is the reason behind it. Now, in all these cases, a counselor will be able to analyze it, and counselor will be able to help us to deal with the issues that we are facing. So if any of you have any person in your family facing financial struggles or facing relationship struggles or job related issues, feeling so much pressure in their life, it is very important that this person should meet with a good counselor where they are addressing the issue and dealing with it. That will help this person not to end his life with suicide, but rather to deal with the issue and to settle down the issue.
Thank you for explaining that, dear brother. What are some of the red flags which a family member or a friend can see from a person who might be struggling with depression, or they may have thoughts of suicide?
When we speak about a person, it is being emotionally being moved in a different level. When a person in our family is not able to behave in the normal way that person used to behave,
right?
so there is something is different in it. And very often, in the context where we are coming from, especially in India, we make the people to fight their own. And we tend to accuse the people. It's because of you, because of your decisions.
You did something wrong.
And when we find a people with some failures, the first thing that we are supposed to do, we should never accuse that person. So the emotional support is very much important. So when we see that person is trying to be away from the society, don't want to come into the public. So those are the first points where we should be trying to notice, okay, this person is having some issues. And then trying to attest to this person what is exactly happening to you. It's all right, we all are there. Whatever happens, despite your failures, despite whatever you lose in your life, and we are still there for you. So that comfort giving to them, that despite whatever happens, I am there for you, is the biggest motivation to live for, to live on, rather to enter their lives. So at any point in their life, we should be doing that. Even on the other hand, just imagine that we are not able to notice a person who is not having any suicidal tendency or anything. But it is so good to say now and then that we are there for you. Whatever you have in your life, just come free to share with me. Or, whether whatever you lose in your life, I'm there as a person in your life, whether it is to our parents or siblings or our life partner or even to our children. It's so important to communicate to them, we are here for you.
I think the importance of open communication, especially with the technology, how the teenagers are dealing with a lot of emotional struggles and mental struggles. And I think as in a family, I think that open communication, parents, kids should be able to come to parents with their issues. That's we struggled in our previous generation a little bit. What would you tell the parents how they should approach that? How they should approach that so the kids won't feel the need to go to that extent of committing suicide?
Being a parent, to be honest, in my story, I said that I traveled a lot back to India. My primary concern is, of course, my family, my wife and my son. So what I personally believe and what I understand, my presence with my son is more important than anything else. In this busy life, we always tend to deal with other family matters without spending time with the children. But up to an age, what the children need is our presence. It's not our money, it's not our career, it's not anything else that we make. But our presence with them is very much important. And then knowing that whatever I go through, I can go and share with my father or my mother, and they will be there for me, is the best thing. I remember reading this in a newspaper. I'm not sure whether it is a real life incident or a story. When a 10th grade result came, one son failed in the exam. And the son was so much afraid when the father was coming in. And the father came home when the father understood his son failed. And he took his son, went to a restaurant, bought him very good food and gave him, and he said, it's all right. Now, that child, whatever he forgets in his life, he will keep one thought in his mind: a 10th grade is not going to affect my life.
It's not,
that is not where my father is going to value my life. Okay, so that kind of an emotional support is very much needed, especially for present generation. Why it is present generation? The social media. So, we see people in social media and they laugh, they make a lot of fun in their family. But to openly say, it is not 24/7 they are like that. Only the moment in which they are taking the video, recording it, they're like that. So helping the kids to understand the reality of life is important. And once in a while, taking them out to a picnic spot and helping them to spend their time to relax their mind. It is not always good to say that sit, study. Sometimes they should have some enjoyment where they can relax, an outing, taking break from, even we need it when we are working. And our kids need it from their education, spending some time in the outdoor, enjoying the nature. And the Creator, the Lord had created everything
beautiful,
for us. So,
beautiful nature.
Actually, we have all these out there. So, going out into the nature with our kids is very important.
I think also coming to, like we talked about activities, I think physical activity is also an important factor in mental health too, right? Are you able to briefly explain that also? How physical activity, being physically active, going outside makes a big difference.
Last semester I had a subject called human development. So my professor asked me to have a self-care plan where I should be spending some time doing some physical activity for the physical health and also doing something for the emotional health. So I decided to walk a mile every day.
Nice.
And I did it for past 8 weeks. And I could see a change that is happening to me when I just go for a walk after a long busy day. I'm just able to forget, I'm just able to calm my mind and then explore. Of course, we are living in Chicago. It is not much of nature. It's not much of nature, but it is the big buildings. But still, I enjoyed it. So after having a busy day, it helps me to calm my mind. Now, I still have to, maybe I have to turn in a paper by the next day.
Midnight usually.
Midnights, of course. Maybe I can come back and sit in front of my laptop. But those walks really help me a lot. So the physical activities, of course, helps us to be emotionally strong, the mentally strong. It plays a very important role.
Thank you. I think I can attest to that. Recently, I've been trying to do the same, at least be more active, get more steps. It's made a big difference in my personal mood and even heart rate, physical health, and so I definitely agree. I can attest to that. What difference it can make.
You will be more productive, of course.
For sure. Much more energy, and you are much more happier. And so all those things makes a big difference. Having a balanced life, and also thank you for sharing that. It's been a very productive discussion so far. So going back to a topic which we discussed. So what are the differences which you are seeing between studied in India. You did your theological studies for almost 10 years in India, and coming here, it's a completely different culture. What are the differences which you see between studying in India, the culture in India, and also culture here? How are they both different?
Yeah, as of now, I have many American friends as well as the Indian friends. And I myself is an Indian, born and brought up in a small village. So I'm so much into that Indian culture. So in the US culture, what happens as the children are reaching to their teenage, they have in their mind at the age of 18, they have to leave their house, they have to be independent. And mostly the education, the financial side and everything, they will have to find it their own, which of course give them, lots of emotional fight they do. So they try to be independent. Now, in the Indian context, the parents take care of the children, maybe all through their life until they complete their undergrad, then they do their
Until you get
grad
married.
school. Yeah, until they get married, even sometime after marriage comes. Now, to be honest, in the both has got its own positive side and the negative sides. So in the American life, the children, when they are reaching to the teen and reaching to the late teen, they always feel so much tensed about their life. Okay, how am I going to manage my finances? How am I going to manage my stay, my studies? And mostly they get into a relationship by that age because more than their parents, they have the major role in finding the life partner. So they struggle, they fight a lot with that. So emotionally speaking, it is a great fight for them. But by the age in which they reach to 20, 23, 24, 25, they will be independent. They know how to fight their own issues. They don't want someone to depend on to live on in their lives. Now, when we speak in the Indian culture, emotionally speaking, and the children are, they are in a comfortable stage until they reach the age of 22, 23, 25 and all. But it takes more time for them to be independent. To understand the family needs and to understand how I'm going to manage, how I'm going to take care of a family, or how I'm going to take my personal needs. It takes more time for them to understand. It does not mean that it happens to all the Indian families, but the general culture,
that's how it is, right?
This is what happens.
I think that's an important thing. When I think a lot of our youth are coming to different countries to study, so I think it's good for them to understand how the cultures are different, and what will be the right balance between both. What do you think is the right balance? I know there's two extremes. There is the extreme of kicking kids out at 18 here and maybe doing too much for them until they get married in our culture. What will be the right balance for a family so you can make sure your kids are independent and also they're supported well? They are not out to fight for themselves.
I think the answer is there in what you have already said. So there is of course a right balance in which I believe teach your children to be independent, but at the same time tell them when they are needed, we are here for you. Whether it is for your finances or whether it is for your education or whether it is for your family life, any of your need, we are still here. But at the end of the day, like at this age or once you complete your studies, we want you to take care of yourself. You should be able to manage your own life. So that personal space that we give to that a person will help them to understand their life better, and they will be able to move on. So give that space to the kids and also tell them we are here for you. And after age, I personally believe the parents should not involve much in their decision making. So let them make their own decision, let them dream their own dreams, and let them follow their dreams and let them receive it. Don't make them to follow my dream, my ambitions. No, he's different person. He has got his own personal choices. So valuing that and accepting it as a fact and helping that person and backing them is very important.
Thank you. That's a very good explanation, and I think I'm sure a lot of the kids who are watching it will appreciate that also. And so it is important for, as an individual, you're not following somebody else's dream. You have your own dream, and God has decided something for you. You should be able to find that and follow that. And so I think coming to US in in that stage, I came when I was 18 after 12th. So I kind of saw how hard it was, coming here, settling down. And going abroad, it's always hard. And but you need to have the right support system in place. You need to find the right church. I'm sure dear brother is also experiencing that. Coming here, you're dealing with a lot of younger students in Moody too, right? How would you tell the kids who are going outside to find the right community and the right church? How should they go about that?
First of all, being Christians, our life is very easy. If we are willing to be active, there are so many churches which we can get involved our lives with. And being Christians, we should be always connected. I always tell to the younger children who are coming in, stay in one place. When it comes to the church, stay in one church. Don't keep on visiting the different churches. So staying in one church will help us to be connected with the group of people there, and we will become one family. So that concept of the church as a one family, the one body, it's a biblical one. So when we become part of that body, that gives us more emotional support. We'll be able to move on our life in a better way. So once we decide to stay in one place, that will provide whatever we need to, rather than visiting different churches. And very often, it is always best not to go to mega churches, but rather to find small churches, because it will be more deeply connected. But then even if you go to a mega church, but still you should be having the small groups, and you should be active in there, and you should be sharing your needs with them, and feel the church as the place where you can share all your emotions, all your needs. Whether you are in a foreign country or you are staying in your home country, the church is very important for the Christians, where you share whatever you have in your heart.
So thank you for explaining that. Thank you for sharing your testimony. And it's been a very productive discussion which we had, and also a podcast. Your approach to counseling and also spreading God's word, it's very commendable, your dedication, and we definitely appreciate that. And thank you for the audience also, and thank you for the support which we got from the last episode. And this is a new ministry which we're still figuring out a lot of things. If you have any feedback, reach out to one of us, or send that in the comments also, so we can improve in the coming days also. And if you think this is helpful, always don't hesitate to reach out to dear brother. We will share his contact in the description also, and he will be also reading the comments when the comments come up also. And so never hesitate, if you need help, to reach out dear brother or anybody which you are near. I'm sure it's not always approachable to get to the dear brother, but whoever you have, there's a lot of people who you can reach out to. Don't think there's help is not there. That's the most important thing which I learned from this discussion, and it's an important thing we all need to learn also. Thank you very much, dear brother, for joining us again.
Thank you.